Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Frailty. This is a donation reward movie reaction. It is a donation reward for Smurf Vlogs. And I don't know pretty much anything about this movie because I had never even heard of it prior to it getting donated. And when the donation first happened, I looked it up just to make sure I was getting the right movie and everything. And confirmed it was Smurf, but I don't remember anything about what I looked up. I didn't really look at a story or anything. I think I noted oh, these are the actors in it. But again, I don't even remember that. So yeah, I'm going into this pretty much as blind as possible. As I said, I don't know anything regarding this film. I had never heard of it. I don't even know what kind of movie it is. I don't know if it's horror, if it's thriller, if it's drama, if it's I don't know. Judging on the title, I can assume it's probably not comedy. um, to my knowledge, it is live action, though. It's not animated, so that's interesting. We'll see how that goes. I mean, we've done other live action movies and stuff on here before, so it's not like it's anything new, but still. Yeah, I just don't know what I'm in store for with this one. I do have this one downloaded. This is not on Netflix, and I didn't find it on YouTube. I found a way to get it downloaded. So we'll be watching it on VLC. And so hopefully it goes all right. Hopefully no issues happen. But yeah. This is one of the big things I wanted to get to this week. One of the big things I wanted to make sure I reacted to, just to kind of get to it, because I don't want to keep putting all these movie reactions off for so long like I have done in the past. So yeah, we're going to just kind of go with it, basically, and hope for the best. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and we're just going to get this started because again, since I don't know anything, I don't really have anything to say beforehand. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the movie. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so I looked it up in between, after the reaction and before I started these afterthoughts. I mentioned in the movie that young Fenton, when he was a kid and all, he looked kind of familiar. And so I looked it up, and I know exactly where I recognize him from. He was Gary Giggles in the Spy Kids movies, which specifically Spy Kids 2 and 3, which had come out basically in the following years after this movie. This movie came out in 2001, and Spy Kids 2 was 2002, Spy Kids 3 was 2003. So it's yeah, that's why he looked so legitimately familiar to me. I did legitimately recognize him. I haven't seen Spy Kids in a long time, but I still recognized him. But yeah, either way. So, obviously I want to talk about the ending first. It's revealed that Adam, who Matthew McConaughey's character was all along, rather than Fenton, when he was a kid, he did indeed have these same visions. Now, it doesn't actually reveal whether or not these are legitimate visions from God, or if he somehow shared the same delusion as his father. But I think even though it doesn't explicitly reveal it, I think it's clear that that the visions were real. Because it's one, it was made clear that Adam saw the one guy, the guy who they lured in by pretending their puppy was under the car and all. Like the father mentioned that he had abducted and killed kids, and we saw that when the father first touched him and saw the vision. We saw that Adam saw that same vision. We saw that Adam had seen the vision of this guy abducting and killing kids. So the visions are real. Now, obviously, this does not mean that they came from God and that these people are demons. The people are clearly bad. It's made very clear that these people who were put on the list were villains. That much is like true. They're bad people. Even the FBI agent at the end, we find out he's the one who killed his own mother. We don't know why, but that's not really important. And so it's like we don't know everyone's crimes. It's like I think it showed the first girl's crimes. She had been like it looked like she was sitting in bed, and then there was this dead girl next to her, and the dead girl looked like she might have been naked, so it's like maybe like she raped her and killed her or something like that. Or some, I don't know, something like that. But there is clearly some shit going on with that too. The point is, it made it clear that the visions were real and that they actually did affect the people that were being touched. That was made clear with the agents at the end as well, that they weren't just like being like pushed back and shaken by the father or later Adam or anything, that they were actually being physically affected by it, to the point where we saw that the agent had actually become disoriented and couldn't fight back. Um, but it's made clear that these people were bad people, but it's not like at least confirmed if like this was actually God or if it was some kind of weird other thing going on. Either way, it definitely is true that it's disturbing and fucked up. And I guess one of the reasons why I'm trying to like defend it a bit is because I am a Christian. So it's like I know that that's extremely anti-God, anti-biblical, this kind of thing. Um, so it's like, ew. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like it's a movie, and I recognize that. I recognize that it's fake, just like I know how it's fake with Supernatural, where the final villain of Supernatural is God. So it's like I understand that. Um, but yeah, it's definitely fucked up. It's definitely just completely horrible. And it's like the one thing that kind of was confusing me by the end is um, the entire thing with the real Fenton, because it's revealed that Fenton was the killer, the one that the FBI and all had been after, that he was a serial killer. And it's like, I was kind of getting from it that he was doing it to lure Adam to him. So it's like, okay, let me check here. Yeah, this what I'm reading here about it is that it doesn't actually say. It just says that he destroyed the real Fenton, who grew up to become the God's Hand Killer. It doesn't actually like go into any more details than that, because then after that it starts talking about Doyle, the agent, um, and then it goes into the little ending scene. Um, so it's like I think it's trying to say that Fenton understood Adam was like too far gone and that he knew Adam was going to one day kill him. But it doesn't really explain why he became the God's Hand killer. Like, that's never really explained, and I feel like that's the only thing I'm kind of confused at. Because with how how like strongly Fenton was against all of this, the idea that he grew up to become a killer just makes almost no sense to me. Now, I believe Adam said something about Fenton doing that to lure him in because he knew he wouldn't come unless like he was put on the list or something. But it's like I don't know. It just seems like because he didn't fight back or anything at the end. He knew Adam was behind him, and he I guess just basically let it happen. So I'm a little I guess you could say lost on that ending part. Plus, again, it just seems kind of unlikely that he would become a killer in the first place, and doing that just to lure his brother in just seems like a bit of a stretch. I don't know. It just like yeah, he did kill his father and everything, but he had to. Like he was trying to save people. So I don't know. I don't know. It just seems a little weird to me, personally. Um, so this movie was mostly told in flashback. Most of the movie was a flashback with little cuts here and there to the present day. Um, so basically, as you know, the plot was this father receives a vision from supposedly God and is revealed to be chosen to destroy demons taking human form. And so, coercing and forcing his sons into helping him, he ends up kidnapping and murdering a bunch of people. His one son, Adam, claims to see everything, which again is revealed that he did, while his other son, Fenton, sees it as just evil murder and tries to tell the sheriff. That ends up pretty much going nowhere. That doesn't help anything because the sheriff doesn't even believe him in the first place. Um, and I think that's the part where this kind of also, by the way, falls apart, where the story kind of falls apart in terms of like trying to say that the father and Adam are getting these visions from God rather than like some other source or something. Because it's like there was no reason to kill the sheriff. He didn't believe Adam at all. All the evidence in the cellar was gone. He wasn't a threat. He wasn't a danger. There was nothing there. He wasn't going to do anything. He, so it's like the father killing him at that point honestly made no sense. The father claimed that he killed him to like protect them, to make sure everything went well or whatever. But it's like it made no sense. It did not. It just did not add up. And as such, with that kind of viewpoint, I almost take this as more of a superpower kind of thing. Like the father and Adam have this kind of shared power to where it's like they can see in kind of Ghost Rider sense, they can see the sins of evil people. They are people, they are human beings, but they've committed legitimately evil actions. And Adam has it because he just inherited it from his father, while Fenton just happened to not. I kind of see it more that way, simply because it's kind of hard. again, with the murder of the sheriff, to see it as to see it as the father and Adam legitimately being like chosen by God for this. It doesn't make sense to me in that way, personally. And again, it's never really explicitly saying, even by the end, that it was a vision from God. It could have been any other explanation, like this superpower, basically. Um, in the end, though, this film was definitely disturbing, but very interesting. Um, Not only just because of the way it was delivered to us through, the present day character of Adam posing as Fenton, telling the FBI agent the story and everything, which is interesting that he chose to tell the entire story to the FBI agent when he was planning on killing him anyway. That was just an interesting decision. um, I guess it was to lure him out to the Rose Garden to make it just easier. I don't know. But either way, it was definitely disturbing and unsettling, and it wasn't the like most unsettling thing I've seen in terms of movies or um, just anything really, any kind of media. I've definitely seen a lot worse, but it was definitely messed up. um, the thing about it, like I said, it was the way the story was told, the actual events that were unfolding, and how it just kept getting crazier and crazier and everything. How it basically makes you root for this kid, but also kind of be upset by the fact that he at first wasn't telling anyone. It's like, come on, kid, you gotta tell someone. And then it makes you even more upset when the sheriff doesn't even believe him. Um, so it's like, it gets you invested. It gets you invested in seeing the father be taken down. And granted, you actually know what pretty early on that he does end up dying. It's just like at that point you're just kind of wondering, is it going to be Fenton that kills him? Or is it going to happen in some other way? And for a split second, like when they were kidnapping that last guy, I thought he was going to end up being the one to kill the dad. Just for a split second before his own attack against the dad kind of went south. um, but yeah, it's like overall, this was interesting. It captured your attention, or at least my attention, and kept a hold of it by delivering a very well written, well paced, and very enrapturing thriller. And that's another thing. I would consider this a thriller. It is officially classified as horror, and I can see like horror aspects to it, but I wouldn't call it a horror movie, like at all. I would consider it a thriller. It's just it's not quite to the level of horror. At least for me, when I think of horror, I think of things like in terms of slasher, killer stuff like Scream or whatnot. Halloween. Those are horror. This was more of a psychological thriller, if anything. And that's not to, by any means, talk down on the movie. It was still a good movie. Um, but yeah, it's just, it was interesting. It was, it's something I never had heard of before, and very likely would have never even thought of checking out. I probably would have never watched this if not for your donation, Smurf, and for you choosing me to check this out. Also, it's a very interesting choice. Like compared to some of the stuff you've chosen for previous donation rewards, like Dragon Prince and Miraculous and all. It's like it's really interesting that you chose to have something like this as a donation reward. Again, not that I'm complaining. I'm just like, okay. And I mean, hey, that just goes to show that they're that people have diverse tastes. It's very different from other stuff you've suggested for me, but hey, That by no means makes it bad. And hey, I mean, it definitely fits in with my tastes. I definitely am into a lot of these psychological thrillers. Not all of them. There are definitely exceptions, some that I don't like. But this is definitely, I feel, my kind of movie. I get very interested in the psychological aspect of things, but it doesn't try to like take it too far. I've seen so many movies and shows and whatnot try to take it way too far with the psychological aspect to where it just becomes preachy, and just feels like it's trying to be um, smarter than it has any right to be. Like it's trying to flaunt, like, oh, this is such a smart movie. This is such an intellectual film. If you don't get it, if you don't like it, then you're just not smart enough. You're just not woke enough. Basically, that's how it comes off. It comes off as very preachy and very. There's a word I'm trying to think of. Um, and it's the same kind of thing I think of with like anime, like Neon Genesis Evangelion too. Um, I can't think of the word though. Basically, high and mighty. I guess that's a way to put it. I might be able to check it out. Not not snobbish, but kind of similar to snobbish, I guess. There's a specific word. Not elitist. This is gonna bug me, so I'm just trying to find it. Pretentious. That's it. It comes across as very pretentious. Um, which the definition here that I found is attempting to impress by affecting greater importance, talent, culture, etc., than is actually possessed. It comes across as very pretentious. It's basically trying to make you believe it's more intellectual and um, self-important and culturally just high up there than it actually is. There's so many like that. There's so many shows, movies, even games that come off as very pretentious. Um, and a lot of the times with psychological thriller movies like this, it can end up that way. But luckily, this one didn't. Luckily, this ended up being a legitimately good crime thriller. That, I mean, you knew what was going on, you knew uh, who the villains were, but at the same time, it's like you kind of wondered where it was going to go. And you kind of wondered, like, okay, so how does this tie into the current day and everything? And exactly, like, again, once you find out that the father dies, it's like, how is he going to die? It's like, it plants these seeds of intrigue. And it's like you're trying to work the way to the seeds. You know who the bad guy is. You know the bad guy. You know what's happening, but this is all in the past, and so it's you're trying to work towards the seeds of the present and figure everything out and kind of just connect it all. And by the end, it does connect. Again, except for just the entire thing about whether or not this was actually supposed to be a thing from God or if it's just some kind of weird superpower thing. That is never entirely clear, especially because, as I mentioned, the sheriff's killing. Because it just like the father's logic made absolutely no sense. um, that's really the only issue I have with this film. Yeah, it doesn't even say on this whether or not the him killing Sheriff Smalls uh, was. It doesn't even say why. Oh wait, no, here it is. It's just after the part I thought I was going to say. Says the father blames Fenton for revealing their mission and thus forcing him to. Again, Smalls, the sheriff, didn't believe him. He was going to let it go. He was just going to leave. So killing Smalls absolutely, and the father knew this. The father very much could tell that he didn't believe him. That was made very clear. So it's like that part does admittedly, it does admittedly kind of throw a wrench into that idea. Uh, so yeah, that was Frailty. Um, I don't fully get the title either, by the way. Like, why is it called Frailty? Honestly, a title like God's Hand would have been more fitting. I don't know. But either way, that was Frailty. It was pretty good. Not the best movie I've seen, even on this channel, but it was pretty good. I'm definitely glad to have seen it again because, as I mentioned, I probably never would have otherwise. And so, yeah, thank you, Smurf, for choosing this as your donation reward this time around. And as always, if anyone wishes to donate, you can do so at any time. You don't have to wait for a mega stream. Just contact me about it. You can donate any amount you are able to. Any amount is fine. Doesn't matter, even if it's small. And you get a donation reward. Have me react to a movie, cartoon, anime, YouTube video slash series, what have you. In the meantime, thank you once again, and tell me down in the comments below what you thought of Frailty. In the meantime, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.